All right. So, hey, this is Neil from PerfectSunLED.com, and here's a grow update while I answer some questions from you guys. So, SJ asked, how much water do you feed seedlings in 3 gallons? So, for the first 10 days, I feed them very little water, just enough to keep the rock wool moist. Usually I keep them, in a humidity dome, just in the rock wool cubes until I decide to put them in the pots. So usually by the time they go in the pots, they have, roots coming out of the rock wool. So at that time, I can just start feeding them normally. But if I put them in before that, then just make sure that you're still just feeding them enough to keep the rock wool moist. So like, shot glass full or something. If the pot is still very heavy from the day before, do you still water anyway? Yeah, you don't water like you do soil. So you don't wait for it to dry out. You water every single day to run off after the first 10 days. But yeah, you treat it just like hydro. That's how I do it. So watering every day is not going to drown the roots because cocoa is a hydroponic medium. And then, let's see here. I'm Dixon asks, hey man, what do you do for your water res? Mix up newts for a bunch of plants in a barrel? Yeah, that's exactly what we do. We use a 50-gallon drum that we've converted into being a reservoir for our pump. We have one pump, a small pump in there that just circulates the water so that it doesn't settle at the bottom. And we have another pump in there, a larger one, that pumps all the water through tubes, and then a big tube, and then to a 1/4-inch tube, and that's on a timer, and it waters 3 times a day. And that waters for a very small amount of time, like seconds, so you have to have a second timer. And then we do that just so that the last watering gets run off. So the first 2 waterings are for a very, very short time, like 10 seconds or something. Then the last watering is for like 20 seconds or something like that. But it comes right out of the 1/4-inch tubing, so I don't use any sort of things on the end that regulate how much water comes out. Edwin Fierro says, when my lights go off, should I turn my fans off too? We don't. I mean, if you want to put them on the same timer as your lights, you can, but you still want airflow, even though lights are off. Someone asked, can I do a strain from Fast Buds? Probably next grow. We still have some left. Dope or Die says, 8 weeks of flower means just that, flower. These companies don't count the veg time of autos. I put this in here even though it's not a question because it's wrong. Every seed company I have seen tells you the days of their autoflowers. They tell you the day from seed to flower, right? So if it says 60 days, like some Fast Buds, 60 to 68 days, that's from seed to harvest. You put the seed, it sprouts. 68 days later, it's ready to chop down. Yep. So that's how it goes. It has nothing to do with flowering time. Let's see here. Saved Soul asks, does the sand mess with your pH? No, it does not. But you could get the lighter stuff. I forget what it's called now. Nax or something like that. I don't know what it's called, but anyway, it's much lighter. Guru Skuk says, excellent video, Neil. Keep it up. Thanks. Question for you. Are you still using psychonutrients? Yes. And if so, do you still use Bloom for the first week? Yes. All right, so that's all the questions for now. And I'll talk a little bit more over the video. All right, so now I'm just going to talk for the rest of this video here. So one thing I like to do is I like to wear rubber gloves because if you don't wear gloves, handling rock wool can make your hands feel itchy and it can last for a little while and it's just kind of annoying. I don't know if it's actually bad for your health or anything like that. I just don't like it. Kind of reminds me of fiberglass. And not as annoying as fiberglass though, but it's still, I don't like it. So anyway, I started wearing gloves when I handle rock wool. At least if I'm going to handle it for, extended period of time. And then I like to put the dates now, as you see there, because the dates, it's just easier if it's right there on the plant. I know exactly how old that plant is, because sometimes I'll have different plants that are different days old, and so this tells me exactly how old it is. I don't have to put it on the pot or anything like that. Oh yeah, I'm still debating whether or not I should come up with my own pots. I really want the pots that are, white on the outside and black on the inside. And the reason for that is, the reason why grow pots are black, if you don't know, is because black is the only color that blocks UV light from getting into the plant. And the soil, does block it, but oftentimes your roots go all the way out to the edge of the pot. Well, the UV light kills and damages all those roots then if you're using like a white pot or any other color but black. The UV light still penetrates those colors, and so it's hitting the roots on the edge of your pot and destroying them. And so, yeah, that's why pots are black. But the problem with black pots is they heat up easy, so they make your roots, they make your root mass hotter than the room temperature because they're absorbing all that light, especially if you're growing outdoors. So the white pot, reflects the light, so it makes your pot less hot, and especially if you're growing outdoors. Now you can always, cover it with something that reflects the light. You can always paint the outside of your pots, but I mean, who wants to do that? I guess. But you could buy black pots and then like spray paint them white on the outside, and that shouldn't seep through or anything or cause any harm to your plants. And that could last a really long time. So that's one option. But also I want to design the pots so that there are certain benefits to them. Like there's certain things I like on my pots, and pots don't come with it. So I would like little hooks on the edge all around the edge of the pot, like little loops, little holes. Like little holes on the top edge, or little hoops sticking off. Probably just holes on the top edge. You can always drill some holes in your pot. But the reason why I want that is because I like to use that for hooking on my, whatever I'm going to train the plant with. Also, we're trying something different this time. I'll show you these little trainers. They're really cool. They're really inexpensive to buy on Amazon. And yeah, so we're going to try those, and I'll show you how they work for training the plant to do a little bowl training. Rather than having to tie the plant down, it should be easier. But still, there's times where, you might need those holes in the pot. I had some other ideas too for pot design that, I think I would like, but I don't know. Also, I think the pots would be better if they were, square, maybe. And they do sell square pots. They're just easier to stack next to each other if you want to do a bunch of pots. But I'll see what happens. I don't know. I just don't want to get stuck, because you have to buy a lot of pots. You have to make a lot of pots in order for you to get pots. So it's not something you just make a few of. You have to make a lot of them for the price to be worth it. And I just don't want to get stuck with like a bunch of pots, that I'm not going to use all of them, hundreds of pots, Want to make sure it's something that's actually going to sell. So how many people would want custom design pots that are white on the outside, black on the inside, which is great for hydroponics and stuff because keep your reservoir cooler, your water cooler, and all that. And also having the custom, hooks on the top or holes on the top. But yeah. Anyway, so you can see there look how carefully I put that in there, and I put the rubber band to make sure no air pockets. So if you're wondering why the rubber band, that's why. You don't want air pockets, because especially when the plant's young like that, air pockets start killing off the roots and the little hairs. And you don't want to damage your roots when they're this young. You want to make sure you're not stunting your plant. And then before you transplant it, you can take the rubber bands off. Although oftentimes I have not taken them off, and I haven't really noticed a difference. But the rubber band probably will. I don't know. If it's just one grow, I don't know if the rubber band really seeps anything into your cocoa that really matters, because it's such a short amount of time. It's just one grow. But yeah, so anyway, All right, so another thing I've been commenting in the beginning is about the Goliaths, and I don't know if they're asking about the original Goliaths or if they're asking about Goliath V2s and when they're back. They've been back. They're on the site ready to purchase. So I'm not sure if you don't see that. Let me know that you're not seeing it or whatever. But they should be on there ready to buy. And yeah, so that's it for the video. I might. Oh, maybe that's not it for the video. Oh yeah, another thing about the Goliath V2s, if you're on the fence between a Goliath V2 and a max yield, honestly, the Goliath V2s are amazing lights. The edge light is more powerful than the max yield, and you're going to get around the same yields. In fact, you're going to get a little bit better yield with the Goliath V2 at the cost of a little more electricity, but it's such a little amount, it's not really going to make a difference to your bill. It's such a small amount, like within 30, 50 watts, so it really isn't going to make a big difference to your electric bill. I mean, the only reason that you would really get a max yield over the Goliath V2 that I can really think of, well, it's more expensive, so you're saving money. You're saving $100 on the Goliath V2. But the only other thing I can think of is that you don't have the room for the Goliath V2. It's about 3 feet by 3 feet, so it's not that big of a light. You know, it's bigger than the max yield, but it's not. It'll fit inside any 4x4 tent. And so if you're growing with a light that uses that much light, you're going to be growing in at least a 4x4 space. And I can't imagine that you'd want to use that light in a smaller space, because then you'd just be wasting electricity at that point. But anyway, yeah, so I don't know, there's really no reason to get the max yield over the Goliath V2 that I can think of, unless you just don't want that large of a light, the 3x3. You know, Goliath is like 2 feet by 2 feet or 2.5 by 2.5? Anyway, it's not much smaller. Also, the Goliath, I've been wanting to use that design for a long time, the bar design. But the problem is, sorry about the dog. The problem is that the Goliath V2 or that bar design didn't have the penetration, and we solved that by putting double lens technology on top of the SMDs. So similar to how we did the ones. Also, another huge benefit of the Goliath V2 versus max yields is how easy they are to fix if something does happen to go wrong. And that's very rare, especially with SMD technology. With the max yield, the drivers are really easy to get to. So if a driver goes out, you just take 2 screws out and then pull the driver out, put the new one in, plug it in. If a pod goes out, though, you have to take the light apart. You got to do a bunch of screws, and you got to take it apart, and then, undo the pod, pull it out, put the new one in, plug it in. It's not like too difficult, but it is more time consuming. Well, the new Goliath V2s don't even use tools to take the bars off and on. They just clip off and on. So you just unplug the bar, unclip it, clip the new one back on, plug it in. You're done in literally seconds, 30 seconds. You're done, if that. So it's super easy to do. Yeah, the only downside is it's a little more expensive to ship those bars. But, that's covered under warranty. So, but, you got to think, what if you have the max yield and it runs out of warranty? Then you have to pay for shipping. But, the shipping isn't going to be too much more expensive than if I ship pods. Honestly, it's crazy. Like, whether I ship a power plug or I ship something like the Goliath bar, they're about the same price to ship, But Goliath bars will probably be a little more expensive. Yeah, but it's not going to be that bad. Say $30 instead of $20 or something like that. And also, if just an LED goes out in a bar, you can always take that bar apart and just solder a new LED on if that one LED is that big of a deal to you, but it shouldn't be, because it's not going to make a difference. But if a couple went out, you want a new bar or have to solder LEDs on. But that's just the way, that's like, there's no reason not to get a new bar if you're under warranty, Just show me that it's, broken, and you get a new bar. So it's really easy to fix, and it's really easy to set up now. It doesn't take long to set up. You just plug the bars in, snap them on, plug them in. No tools necessary. Super easy. They just snap on. They just clip right on. So yeah, if you've been on the fence, Goliath V2, there's no reason not to. In fact, I might even just stop selling the max yields altogether and just do Goliath V2s. I've been trying to reduce what lights I have, just so I don't have to deal with so many. All right, thanks for watching. Double peace. See you next time.